In football, the most incredible plays are not always the most legal ones. We will look at some of the most controversial moments in the history of the sport, where cheating and simulation cost more than many think. But first, subscribe and leave a comment on who you think will win the Champions League this year. We're reading your comments. For the 2024 African Cup of Nations, Cameroon placed its trust in a strong team, including 17-year-old Wilfried Ntam Dula. Although he did not get many minutes in the tournament, he was key in motivating the team. However, after Cameroon was eliminated by Nigeria, the Cameroonian Federation suspended 62 players for age fraud. Among them, Wilfried Dula was the most notable, and upon seeing his photo, many doubted that he was really 17 years old. This scandal was a heavy blow to Cameroonian football. But the next case is not about the pitch, it's about a player's personal life. Women's football has grown exponentially in recent years, going from fun moments to spectacular goals. More and more viewers are following it, not only for the beauty of the players, but also for the quality of the game. However, in 2015, a scandal almost halted this progress. It was discovered that 8 members of the Iranian women's national team were actually men. According to an official from the Iranian league, these players had competed without completing gender reassignment surgeries. Since the team plays fully covered, it was difficult to notice the difference, but a simple photographic inspection raised suspicions about the truth of these accusations. Pretending to be a woman to play football is crazy, but it doesn't compare to the next story. At number 28, we find Justin Bijlow, who, after a failed clearance that left him out of position, had to act quickly to prevent a goal against him. His solution was to throw a second ball onto the field, knowing that the referee would stop the game. Although unorthodox, you have to recognise the creativity of this play. In a match between Italy and Belgium, striker Ciro Immobile fell to the ground after a foul. While he writhed in pain, his teammate Nicolo Barella scored a stunning goal. The most surprising thing was that as soon as the ball hit the net, Immobile immediately got up to celebrate with his teammates. It seemed like scoring a goal had instant healing powers. After committing an unnecessary penalty, goalkeeper Marwin Hitz knew he had to do everything possible to prevent the opposing striker from scoring. While the referee wasn't paying attention, Hitz did something unexpected. He damaged the grass right at the penalty spot. When the striker took the shot, he slipped and missed the goal. A dirty but effective strategy. When Neymar played in the Brazilian league, he stood out as one of the most skilled players in the world. However, he found a clever way to trick goalkeepers in penalty kicks. As he ran toward the ball, he made a movement that left them completely confused. After scoring 5 consecutive penalties without a single goalkeeper reacting, FIFA intervened and permanently banned his technique. In the 2010 World Cup match between Ghana and Uruguay, the African team aspired to become the first nation from the continent to reach a semi-final. However, they didn't count on their opponents having an expert in cheating among their ranks. Seconds before the penalty shootout, Ghana had a golden opportunity to win the match. But what happened left a mark in history. Luis Suarez blocked the shot with his hand, preventing a sure goal. Although he was sent off, the subsequent penalty was missed and Ghana lost in the shootout. Since then, Suarez has become the most hated footballer in Ghana. Besides his talent with the ball, Neymar has proven to be a great actor. In a match between Brazil and Switzerland, his exaggerated reaction after a foul made him an instant meme on the internet. In another match between PSG and Gamba Osaka, Neymar faked a foul in the box without even being touched. Watching the replay, it was clear that he had simply imagined being fouled. Kyle Walker is considered one of the best right-backs in Premier League history. His speed and performance have been fundamental in Pep Guardiola's system. Off the field, Walker presented himself as a family man, but the reality was different. Recently, his wife Annie, mother of his 3 children, announced their separation. While Walker tried to process the breakup, an even bigger scandal was revealed. His mistress sued him in court, revealing that he had secretly fathered 2 children with her. Additionally, she demanded a $200,000 house, a $3,000 air conditioning system, among other luxuries. As if that weren't enough amid this controversy, his wife became pregnant with their fourth child. Walker went from being a star on the field to starring in one of the biggest personal scandals in English football. After losing the first leg of the Champions League semi-finals against Inter, Barcelona knew they had to win by a wide margin to qualify for the final. With the club's fate at stake, Busquets decided to give his team an advantage no matter the consequences. When Thiago Motta's hand accidentally touched his neck, Busquets fell to the ground as if he had suffered a brutal blow. Now look closely. Watch how he slightly lifts his head to see if the referee bought his performance. The referee took the bait and showed Motta a red card, leaving Inter with one less player. However, this wasn't enough, as Jose Mourinho's team defended with everything and eliminated Barcelona. Before the match between Portugal and Luxembourg, everyone expected an easy win for the Portuguese. They had stars like Leão, Silva, and of course the legendary CR7, while Luxembourg was considered a low-level team. From the start, Portugal took the lead with a dominant 4-0 first half, with 2 goals from Ronaldo. With the game practically won, it was expected that the Portuguese players would relax, but at the start of the second half, they continued attacking with the same intensity. It was then that Ronaldo attempted one of his signature moves, and in an effort to deceive the referee, let himself fall in the box. However, instead of being impressed, the referee decided to book him for diving. Social media quickly reacted, mocking Ronaldo for trying to cheat against a supposedly inferior team. But this is nothing compared to the next story. In 1996, Southampton coach Graham Souness received a call from the then best player in the world, George Weah, recommending a footballer. Though skeptical, Souness decided to give him a chance. After one training session, he realised the player didn't have the level to be in the Premier League, but due to an injury crisis, he allowed him to play an official match. The club, still unconvinced of his talent, contacted George Weah to verify the recommendation. To their surprise, Weah denied making the call and stated that he did not know the player. It was a monumental scam. This imposter had gone from playing in an amateur team to making his Premier League debut, an incredible feat, though his lack of skill soon exposed him. During a free kick, Ivan Toney noticed that the referee was distracted. Taking advantage of the situation, he grabbed a spray and marked his own free kick spot a few centimetres ahead of the permitted line, giving his team an advantage. While this trick worked for him in England, some French players attempted to replicate it in the Champions League. In a match between PSG and Chelsea, David Luiz and Ibrahimovic disagreed with the spot where the referee had placed the free kick. So, when the referee looked away, Luiz moved the ball to a better position. But that wasn't Luiz's only trick. In a match between Chelsea and Manchester United, with his team winning and only 2 minutes left on the clock, he decided to waste time in the most blatant way possible. After a slight contact from Rafael, Luiz collapsed as if he had been struck with a flying kick. The worst part? While lying on the ground, he was smiling mischievously. During a league match between PSG and Nantes, Marco Verratti received a pass from his goalkeeper and, with no options to advance, decided to do something unexpected. He lifted the ball with his head and passed it back to the keeper. At first glance, it seemed like a legal pass, but the referee booked him. Why? According to the rules, if a player performs an unsporting action to bypass the laws of the game, the referee has the right to penalise him. Verratti wasn't the only one to attempt this move. Ivan Perisic did the exact same thing in a match and also received a yellow card. It seems like these rules keep changing, and players continue testing their limits. It all started in 2010 when, during a match between Ajax and PSV, Suarez, in the middle of an argument, decided to bite an opponent. The act was so unusual that it left everyone stunned. As punishment, he received a 7-match suspension. 3 years later, playing for Liverpool, Suarez did it again. This time, the sanction was even harsher: 10 matches of suspension. The 2018 Champions League final was epic. Real Madrid, the favourites to win, faced a Liverpool team in peak form. With the odds against him, Ramos knew he had to do something to tilt the balance. What he did was brutal. In a tussle, Ramos grabbed Salah's arm and threw him to the ground with a taekwondo-worthy move, injuring him. Without their best player, Liverpool lost the final against Madrid. It seemed like Suarez had learned his lesson, but during the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, he did it again. In a match against Italy, he bit Giorgio Chiellini. Surprisingly, the referee didn't penalise him at the moment. However, after reviewing the footage, FIFA took action. They suspended him from all football-related activities for 4 months, banned him from playing 9 international matches and fined him 100,000 Swiss francs. When Barcelona decided to sign Suarez after this scandal, they included a no-bite clause in his contract. Yes, you read that right. The club had to ensure that Suarez wouldn't repeat his behaviour on the field. Ivan Toney's case was one of the biggest surprises in English football. It was discovered that between August 2017 and March 2018, the striker had placed bets against his own team in 7 matches. Investigations revealed that Toney had bet against his club 232 times, leading the FA to suspend him for 8 months. While Onana received a relatively light suspension, Paul Pogba's career was nearly destroyed by a similar situation. Pogba, considered one of the most talented players of his generation, has had a career filled with ups and downs due to injuries, poor attitude, and underperformance. In 2023, he received the worst news of his sporting life. He tested positive for testosterone, a substance that provides a competitive advantage. After a second sample confirmed the result, Pogba was suspended from football for 4 years. At 30 years old, with a history of injuries, it seemed like the end of his career. However, after filing an appeal, his suspension was reduced to 18 months. Currently, the midfielder is training in Miami and planning his return to professional football. In a match between Ajax and Feyenoord, Ajax players desperately tried to hold on to their lead in the final minutes. That's when Antony, in an attempt to waste time, fell to the ground, faking an injury. The situation became comical when his own captain pushed him back to the ground to make the act more convincing. While most of the stadium, including the opposing coach, laughed at the scene, the referee didn't find it funny at all and sent Antony off with a red card. Another case of sports betting involved Lucas Paquetá, who allegedly got himself booked deliberately in several matches. In games against Leicester, Aston Villa and Bournemouth, he received yellow cards under suspicious circumstances. Later, it was discovered that multiple bets had been placed on him receiving those bookings in those matches. If the FA manages to prove his guilt, Paquetá could face an exemplary punishment. While Luis Suarez was punished for his behaviour on the field, Andre Onana was suspended for something that started as a simple headache. After a 2-2 draw against Atalanta, the Ajax team flew back to Amsterdam. Onana, who had been playing video games on his phone throughout the flight, arrived home the next morning with a severe headache. Instinctively, he went to the kitchen, grabbed a box of medicine, and took a painkiller without thinking much about it. Later, during a routine doping test, it was discovered that a banned substance was in his bloodstream. Investigations revealed that Onana had accidentally taken his wife's pregnancy pills, which contained substances prohibited for footballers. Even though it was a mistake, the rules were enforced strictly, and he was banned from all football-related activities for a year.